This conference will now be recorded.
So today let us go with the next and very important module of Angular, and this we use in almost all the projects. So without this we cannot connect to our Java projects. So the module here is Angular HTTP client module. What is the use of this HTTP client module of Angular is it is used to invoke the services which are running on server side, and that application might be developed using it may be with Java technology, or it may be with the .NET technology, or it may be with PHP technology, or any other thing. So the services which are running on server side, we can invoke that service from Angular using which module? HTTP client module. So what are the business logic we do on the server side? What are the results we are getting from server? I can take that result and do the presentation part on our browser window, and that we do by using Angular. Angular is mainly for front-end purpose, and to invoke that services we use Angular HTTP client module. Very simple. Just what we have to do, we have to create object of HTTP client like this. HTTP client, it's an object of this HTTP client, and by using this HTTP client using get method, we can invoke a service running on server. So let us suppose this is the REST API what you have created using Spring Boot. So this API will connect to the employee table present in database, and it's going to return the list of employees present in the database table. So this is the API what we are going to create. And what are the result we are getting from this API? Once I get that result, I can display that result onto the client browser. So that's the main thing here. So for this, let us go with application. So let us initially go with the database layer. So the database side. For that, let us create a table employee in MySQL. So open MySQL. Password. Use Java 05 our database name. Let us drop table employee. Already we are having this table employee, so we are deleting. So let us create the table again. You can find everything in the document here. So create table employee with employee ID, varchar of 10, name varchar of 10, designation varchar of 10, and salary int of 4. Now, once we create the table employee, let us insert the records into the table. You can even find the commands for inserting. So insert into employee values with some values. Let us insert one more and one more. So we are inserting totally 3 employee records here. Now if you use select command, we are having totally 3 records in the employee table. Now let us create one REST API which is going to connect to this table and pull out all these records. Now for that, let us go with the backend layer, that is Java side. So where we are going to create a new workspace. Let us choose one new workspace Spring Angular. So I've already chosen this new workspace Spring Angular. Now in this workspace, let us create a Spring Starter project, Spring Angular project in STS. So let us create a project here, Spring Angular project. File new Spring Starter project. Let us go with the name Spring Angular project. Type Maven, Java version 17, group. You can copy everything from this document, Spring Angular. Artifact, it takes the name, package, com.spring.angular. Now click on next button. Here we need to add the project dependencies. So let us add the project dependencies like Spring Web, Spring.jpa, then MySQL driver, and one more Lombok tool. Once we add this project dependencies, click on finish button. The project will get created. Now in this, let us create a Pojo class employee in this com.spring.angular package. So under this package com.spring.angular, we are going to create a new class employee. Whatever I am discussing now related to Java side, already we discussed. Now, go with the properties, private string employee ID, private string the name, private string designation, private int salary. Now, apply the Lambda connotations at the rate no args constructor at the rate all args constructor, right, at the rate data for setters and getter methods. Now apply the JPA annotations, that is Hibernate annotations, to mark this class as the entity class at the rate entity, and at the rate table, the name of the table, let us go with employee. And to mark this employee ID as primary key at the rate ID. Change the column name at the rate column name equal to emp underscore ID. Right? So these are Lambda kind JPA annotations. Clear up to here? Any questions? No. The next step, let us create one interface, employee DAO, in the package com.spring.angular. Right click on this package and say new interface, employee DAO, or you can even go with employee repository. Here in this, just what we have to do, extends JPA repository. Extends JPA repository. What is the entity class name employee, and the primary key data type is what? String. So this primary key data type is string. Your employee ID is string. That's it. Import the packages. So this is a repository or DAO interface. Now, once we create this interface, no need to write any methods inside the interface. That is the main beauty of Spring Data JPA module. Then, now let us go with the service class, employee service. Right click on package and say new class. I'm writing everything in one package, but in reality, we go with the different packages for entity class, service class, controller, everything we go with different packages, but here I'm working in same package. Employee service. In this employee service, go with the property, employee DAO, and inject it automatically at the rate auto-write. And mark it as a service class. Now in this, let us create a method, public list employee, get all employees, which returns employee DAO dot, which method we use in Spring Data JPA, find all. So find all method will connect to the table what you have given here, the table employee. It is going to connect to this table employee, pull out all the records from employee table, and that records will be returned back to us in the form of list employee. Right? What is the use of this get all employees? It's going to return all the records present in your employee table in the form of list employee. Import the packages. Now let us go with the next one, and very important one, controller class, REST controller class. Right click on package and say new class employee controller. Now mark it as a controller class at the rate REST controller. Once mark it as @REST controller, we can use it in some other application also can able to access it. So who is other application now? From Angular, I should able to enter into this class and access the methods. So since we are going to get the request from Angular, here we are going to use one more new annotation. This is the new annotation what we are going to learn now. Here we have to use a annotation cross origin. Cross origin, origins equal to. So from where we are going to get request, Angular is running in which location? http://localhost:4200. So from this you are going to get the request to this controller class, right? So this is the new annotation what we are learning today. Now in this, go with a property employee service, inject it @autobyte. Now create a method public list employee get all employees list. We're going to return employee service dot get all employees. So when you call this method employee service dot get all employees, it will go to the service class. This method is going to get invoked and it's going to return all the records using find all method. Now how to enter into this method? We use here @get mapping all employees. So what is the REST API to access this service now? REST API to access employee service http://localhost:. So here again we have to use what is the request mapping API/employees to enter into the class. So localhost:80/API/employees will enter into the class. All employees will enter into the method. So once we use this API, it enters into this method and it connects to this employee table, pull out all the records from the employee table, and that will be returned back to us. So this is the REST API what we have created. Got it, everyone? Any questions? Then the final step, we have to update our application.properties for database connection. Under resources folder, you can see properties file. Here provide the database connection properties. Spring.data source dot driver class form.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Spring.data source dot URL, that is jdbc://localhost:3306/java 05, our database name. Spring.data source dot username root. Spring.data source dot password is root. Spring.jpa, the JPA properties, jpa.properties dot hibernate dot dialect. What is our dialect here? org dot hibernate dot dialect dot mysql dialect. Spring dot jpa dot hibernate dot ddl dot auto update as the table is already created. Spring dot jpa dot show sql as true. That's it. These are your hibernate or jpa properties. So this completes our project. Then the next step, we have to run the project as Spring Boot app. Right click on Angular project and say run as Spring Boot app. See, the server has started at port number 8080. So now backend side is ready. Now let us move to the next part, that is front end. That is Angular side front end here, front end layer. So for this, let us at the Angular side in our project, let us create a new component employee. So at the Angular side, so this is our Angular project. Let us create a new component employee. So once you press enter key, it's going to create a new component employee. How to create a component? ngc the component name employee. Already I have created here. So these are the files. Two important files: employee.component.html, employee.component.ts. So let me show here. Here employee.component.ts TypeScript file and employee.component.html. Okay. Now I'll explain these files later. Now one more step, whenever you want to use this HTTP client module, we need to add this HTTP client module in which file? app.module.ts file. So in this app.module.ts file, we need to add this under this imports. We need to add this module HTTP client module, right? With the respective import statement. Now, once we add this HTTP client module in app.module.ts, now let us go with the service. So create a folder service here. Whenever you want to create service classes where we do the actual business logic, that we call service here. So for that, let us create a folder service in app folder. In this service folder, let us create a file http-client.service.ts file. So for service, we end with .service. It's not mandatory. It's a simple standards we follow. So this is the major important file. Create a folder service. How to create a folder? Right click on app and say new folder, and we are create the service folder. Under service, create this file http-client.service.ts file. So this is the major important code here. In this, we are creating a class employee. We are creating a class employee with the properties employee ID, name, designation, and salary. Now, we have created a class HTTP client service, and in this, we are going with a property HTTP client. We are creating what property inside the constructor? HTTP client. It's an object of its class, HTTP client class. Now in this HTTP client service class, we are having a method getEmployees. Using this method getEmployees, see, by using this HTTP client, what method we have to use? Get. By using HTTP client.get, we are invoking the service running on Java server. So this is a service running on Java server. This is the REST API, what we have created, right? This one. This is the REST API, what we have created. This API will connect to this class, and it's going to pull out all the records from employee table. This method will get executed. So then once we connect to this service, it's going to return the list of employees. What are the list of employees it is returning? In TypeScript, we are not having something like collections. So to manage multiple data, we use arrays only. So what are the list of employees we are getting from this REST API that we are storing into this employee array? So what is the use of this getEmployees method? It's going to connect to the REST API, which is going to pull out all the records from the REST API, and that records will be stored into this employee array. This piece of code is important here. By using HTTP client, using get method, we can invoke the service running on Java server. Now, the next step, coming to this employee.component.ts file. Here in this employee component, we are creating one employee array. In constructor, we are creating object of HTTP client service class. Just now we have created this one. In the service class HTTP client service, we are creating object. Now, once the class is loaded on init, ng on init means once the server is started, once it loads this employee component, first it goes to constructor, then it goes to this ng on init method automatically. Then in this method, by using this HTTP client service object, we are calling which method? GetEmployees. We are calling which method? GetEmployees. what get employees is going to do? It's going to invoke the service and it's going to get the records in the form of employee array. So that only what we are doing, get employees dot subscribe. The response what you are getting, subscribe response, this response what you are getting from this service method, that we are storing into this dot employees array. So whatever the response you are getting from your method get employees, that response we are storing into what, this employee array. Now this employees array is ready with the data. Now in this employee.component.html file, I want to show that employee array data in tabular format. So for that, we are creating a table with the table headings, ID, name, designation, salary, and we are traversing our array. So tr star ng for Angular directive, we are traversing our employee array. So we are pulling out one employee into this employee, and we are displaying the data in tabular format. Employee.employee ID, name, designation, and salary. So just this, what is the use of this employee.component.html file? To display the employee array data in tabular format. That's it. The next step, one more small update. We have to update this file, app.routing.module.ts file. So you can find this file already, app.routing.ts file. In this, just add these routes. Constant routes equal to the path empty, component, employee component. Which component should get loaded? Employee component should get loaded. So when we run the project, your employee component should get loaded automatically. Since it's getting loaded automatically, we are going with a empty path here. That's it. Now the next step, run your project. Compile your project using which command? ngser. So once the project is compiled successfully, open browser and type the URL. What is that? http://localhost 4200. See here, we are getting the records. So what are the records present in our employee table, present in our database? The list of records, whatever you are having in this employee table, that we are pulling out using Spring Boot REST API module. And that REST API, what you have created in Spring Boot, we are accessing that API from our Angular, and Angular is taking care of doing the presentation part. So whenever you want to invoke a service running on Java server, the REST API what you have created, we use which module? This is the main thing what you have to remember for interview time, HTTP client module. We have to use which module? HTTP client module. This is the interview question they'll be asking. Then which annotation we have to use in our Spring Boot application? @cross origin. So we are informing that we are going to get the request from this location to this REST API. That information we are passing using @cross origin. So this is the important things what we should remember for interview time. Right? So compulsory, please practice this. Okay? Right? So I'll be sharing all the source codes related to Spring Angular project.zip file, related to Angular complete app.zip file. In this app.zip file, once you extract, you can find app folder. In that you can find all our applications, all the files what we have created. Right? So that's about this Angular HTTP client module.